Hello sustainable growers, this is Jonathan from Melbourne Aquaponics. In this video I would like to respond to a question that I receive quite often, and the question is, why are my vegetables not growing and why are they dying? So I'm going to respond to this question in 5 points because there are 5 things to really check when you have a problem in your setup. The first point is, have you got a bell siphon in your aquaponics setup, and is this bell siphon working? You know that in an aquaponics setup we're going to have the level of water in the grow bed that is going to go up and down several times per hour. We want to make sure that we got this variation here, otherwise first we got a problem with the bacteria, but also the vegetables. If there is no variation here, the water basically becomes anaerobic because the water level is not going up and down, so there is not enough oxygen available for the bacteria but also for the roots of the vegetables. So if your bell siphon is not working, or if you don't have a bell siphon, but also if the pump is dirty, and if there is not enough water coming, sometimes the bell siphon doesn't start. So please make sure that your bell siphon is working correctly and that you got a good fluctuation of the water level here. So if you got this in good conditions, that's fine, but if you got a problem and if the water is always high, it's gonna have a very negative impact on your plants. Some of the roots are gonna rot, right? And on the plants there is a specific section between the roots and the leaves of the plant. This is what we call the neck of the plant, and this section needs to be in a dry environment. That's why I ask you, when you design your bell siphon, you need to make sure that you still have 3 centimeters on the top of the grow bed that are always dry. Otherwise the neck of the plant is going to be in contact with the moisture, and most of the plants don't like it at all, except the aquatic plants obviously, but most of the plants don't like to have moisture on the first 3 centimeters. So make sure that this is correct, that your bell siphon is working, and that you respect this rule that to have a few centimeters that are dry. So point number 2 is a point that is already developed in the bonus video that you can have into the description of this video. This point is, have you got enough minerals, and especially have you got enough iron in your water? So you know that we work in aquaponics, and in aquaponics the nutrients that are into the water is basically coming from the fish food that we give to our fish. In this fish food there are a lot of phosphorus, obviously nitrogen, and then there is a certain profile of minerals, but depending on the vegetables that you're going to grow in aquaponics, you may not have the good profile for your vegetables. You may not have enough minerals, which is fine, and it happens to everyone. Me as well, I supplement my aquaponics setup with minerals. So if you want to know how to do that, especially for the iron, because as soon as you put iron into contact with the water, most of the time you got the oxidation, where the iron is basically turning into rust. So it's turning orange. So and then it's not available for the plant anymore. So that's why we use a specific iron called DTPA iron, a chelated iron, and once you put this into your water every 3 weeks, then all the plants have access to the specific minerals, and they got all the things they need to grow. So check the video in the bonus in the description of this video, and I'm going to explain you everything in this video. The point number 3 is your pH adapted, or are the plants you are growing adapted to the pH you have in your aquaponics setup? So you know that in aquaponics we most of the time try to keep the pH around 7 with some fluctuations, because the pH is naturally going down, it's naturally decreasing. So we start with a pH around 7, 7.5, depending on the quality of the water you put in your system. But then with the natural biological reaction of the system, the pH is decreasing slowly to reach 6.5 and then 6 if you leave it. So what we try to do in aquaponics is to maintain the pH around 7. So to maintain the pH, we add some minerals into the water. We also use eggshell, seashells. I mean, there are different techniques. But what is important to understand here is that if you put some plants that are extreme in terms of pH, most of the plants, they accept a pH around 7, but some of them have like a very acidic pH, a very basic pH. So those plants would not be able to grow in this kind of environment. So most of the plants we grow in a garden, most of the time they are able to grow very well in a pH at 7. So check your pH. If your pH is at 7, make sure that the plants that you are growing are not specific plants, very specific, that are growing in very specific environment. But then just validate this point. It's just a double check to make sure that this is not the problem. The point number 4 is, are the vegetables you are trying to grow adapted to the season, to the temperatures that you are offering them? For example, if you live in a very cold country, there are some plants that like the sun, that are not going to be able to grow, such as tomatoes. They need a certain temperature to grow. Chili, that's the same kind of thing. So make sure that the plants you are growing are plants that are adapted to the country where you live, the area where you live, but also adapted to the season. You want to make sure that the good season, you sow them in the good season, and you harvest them in the good season. But you must make sure that it's really adapted. So if you are not sure, obviously you read get some information when you get your plants, but also ask the gardeners that are living around you, because that's basically what you want to do. You want to grow the same things as they are growing at the moment. Point number 5, have you got enough fish in your aquaponics setup? So obviously you know that the vegetables are growing basically from the fish poo, right? From the fish are going to poo into the water, and then some bacteria are going to transform this ammonia into nitrate, and then other bacteria are going to transform the nitrate into nitrate. So have you got enough have you got enough fish? Have you got enough are you giving enough nitrogen to your system in order to feed your plants, your vegetables? If you start a very large system with a lot of vegetables, but you got only 3 fish, small fish, they're not going to eat a lot, and therefore they're not going to produce a lot of nitrogen. So it's rarely the problem. Most of the time people tend to have too many fish for the number of vegetables, but it can be something to check. Make sure that you got enough nitrogen. Basically, you give enough fish food to your system to transform all this in nitrate and to feed your plants correctly. If it's not the case, you don't specially have to buy new fish. If you have fingerlings and you want to wait for them to grow, but you can simply add some natural fertilizer into your setup, such as sea salt or those kind of things that are natural extract, because they're going to add a lot of nitrate, which is a very good fertilizer for the plant, but also they're going to add some minerals that can be also interesting for the system. So with those 5 points, I reckon I respond to most of your problems. So please check them. It's very easy. It takes a few minutes. Check if your siphon is working well, and it should fix your problem. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to share it if you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you are watching this video on YouTube, you will see that on the description of the video just below, you will have access to some free gifts. First, you have access to a 6-step process to be able to build your own aquaponics system in good conditions. I developed this 6-step process because I found that too many beginners are basically starting aquaponics with a wrong design. So if you want to build your own aquaponics setup, please just follow this 6-step process. It's completely free, right? I really designed it to help you to build your setup in good conditions and therefore to succeed in aquaponics. The second gift is for people who already have aquaponics. A very common problem we have in aquaponics is that we got the leaves of the vegetables that are turning yellow. And the reason why is because basically in aquaponics we sometimes need to add some minerals, otherwise the vegetables have some deficiencies. So if you have this problem, I made a special video about it as well, and you can have access to it in the description of the video. It's the free bonus video. If you are very interested into aquaponics, you can also have access to a webinar, a free webinar specific to aquaponics. I deliver a lot of information. finally, you are probably aware that I wrote a digital aquaponics manual called The Art of Aquaponics, and you can have access to a free excerpt of this aquaponics manual where I add a lot of value and I give you a lot of my knowledge about aquaponics. So don't forget that you can have access to those 4 gifts on the description of the video, and I'm sure they're going to help you to develop your aquaponics setup and to produce your own sustainable and healthy food in good conditions. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to get your free gift from this screen. You can also leave me a comment below the video, subscribe to the channel and see my last video. I really hope to see you soon, and I wish you a fantastic success with aquaponics. Have a good crop!